You aren't what you think you are, but what you think you are. You aren't what you think you are, but what you think you are. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. The Bible says, out of the heart are the issues of life. That the way you think, we talked about this many times, the way you think determines the way you feel, and the way you feel determines the way you act. If you want to change the way you act, you don't like the way you act in a crowd. You know, you act nervous, you act goofy, you don't know what to say. You know, if you want to change the way you act, you've got to change the way you feel. Because if you're acting nervous, it's because you feel nervous. But if you want to change the way you feel, you've got to change the way you think. You can't focus on the feeling. You can't fight a feeling. You can't force a feeling. But you can change the way you feel by changing the way you think, because every feeling is determined by a thought. Now, if you say, I'm not acting very loving to my wife because I don't feel very loving to my wife, you need to change the way you think about your wife. And that is a choice. You can't control your feelings, but you can control your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts and you start thinking loving thoughts toward your husband, toward your spouse, toward whoever, it's going to change the way you feel, and that's going to change the way you act. Now, this is what the Bible says in verse 23. There must be a spiritual renewal of your thoughts and attitudes. You're not going to change until your thoughts change, until your attitudes change. This is why a daily quiet time is important. Why every day you need to spend 4, 5, 10 minutes at least where you get alone with God for 5 minutes and you sit down and you be quiet and you open the Bible and you read the Bible a little bit and you talk to God about whatever's on your mind. That's called prayer. You listen to God through the Bible. You talk to God in prayer. You just be quiet. You say, God, is there anything you want to say to me? That is the spiritual renewal in your mind. If you're not doing that, you're not going to have the power to change.